Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. This week, all eyes are on Paris, where high-level talks between American and European leaders aim to revive momentum on Ukraine, Iran, and the future of transatlantic cooperation. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff are meeting European defence and foreign ministers, including Emmanuel Macron, at a critical time. Joining us to unpack the significance of this summit is Dr. Wierenga, a lecturer in international relations at the Baltic Defence College and a regular guest. Dr. Wierenga, welcome back to TVP World. Thanks for taking the time.
Hi, great to be with you.
Great to have you, sir. So, your initial thoughts on what the best possible outcomes from these meetings is or are?
Of course, the best possible outcome would be that the United States provides reassurance to European allies that they're going to be there if needed, if necessary, that the nuclear umbrella will definitely stay, and that an American force posture will definitely stay. Now, the American administration has indicated for months now that they are strategically prioritizing other parts of the globe, but that they're not going to necessarily leave Europe to their own devices, but they want Europe to do more, to pay more, and to do more when it comes to their own defense. Now, obviously, that's not always the case for every single country. Northeastern flank is very much takes security very serious and spends well above the 2% of the GDP that has been requested at the Wales summit. All things considered, I think the second best possibility, because of the way that things are right now, would be for a kind of clear guideline as to what the Americans want to do, what they're willing to do, if they're going to scale down, by how much, and to have a real plan in place so that everybody knows exactly what must be met for spending, but also for force allocation.
So it sounds as though you're taking it as a given that the US is going to withdraw some of its assets in Europe. Is that right? Or is it possible that they'll maintain those assets?
I don't think it's a given. I think that it's possible that they'll maintain most, maybe even all of the assets. It's also a possibility that they will withdraw some of the forces, but that could be just part of a deal that or not a deal, but a sort of a posture by the current president to try and make sure that everybody makes well above 2%. Now, I think what will be more clear will be after the next summit in The Hague this summer, where it is almost certain that a new percentage point that will be higher than 2, probably between 3 and 5%, will be the new target for defense spending across the alliance. Now, once that happens, and once the outcome of that summit has been made public, then I think we'll have a better understanding. But no, I don't personally take that as a given. It's a possibility, yes, more so than with the previous administration. But no, I don't think that that's necessarily the case. And I do think that the United States will always maintain security ties with NATO, even if there's some coarse language with the amount regarding the amount that the American administration feels that it has to do versus what everyone else is doing.
Understood. Now, clearly high on the agenda is the war between Russia and Ukraine, or rather the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia. The two sides are coming at it with slightly different perspectives. But we've got a high-level US delegation here. Do you see room for flexibility? Have they been authorized by President Trump to actually give a little more than they have done so far?
You mean when it comes to talks with Russia?
Yes.
Well, the one thing that I always say is that President Trump does not like to tilt his strategic hand. So there's a lot of room for the unknown there anyway. I actually do not believe that the U.S. administration is going to cave or give away concessions to the Russians. In fact, I see signs of real frustration when it comes to this right now, because Putin has shown to the envoys and to all U.S. personnel that he's not really actually interested in peace. He's continued to bomb Ukraine while the talks are ongoing, and he's using this as a stall tactic. And I think that now the administration finally has his number. And what I think that they really want to avoid is any spillover once a deal has been made. And if that deal has been made and the Russians actually stop their war of aggression and conquest against Ukraine, where are they going to go? What are they going to do? And I think that there are two sort of guesses that if I was in the administration, I would be guessing. One is that they would join China in the Arctic and bring that closer to the American hemisphere, or that they would do something and try to challenge NATO on its northeastern flank, hence what we talked about before, and keeping a force posture there, because the president has said many, many times that the war of aggression wouldn't have happened had he had been president during the term of President Biden. And I think that the U.S. has many, many and numerous reasons to prevent that from happening and have the back of NATO allies in Europe.
Yes, but I mean, one of the concerns, of course, especially amongst Ukrainians, but also from other leaders, is that President Trump is going to do a deal with Putin whereby Putin manages to keep the area, the part of Ukraine that he's already occupied. How likely do you think that is? Do you think there could be a land for peace deal there?
Well, of course, I would like to say no, that's never going to happen. Because I hope that Ukraine gets to keep, the territory that was illegally and unjustly taken from them. But it's a real possibility that might be part of the deal, that both presidents, the Russian president and President Trump, say that this is part of the deal and Ukraine will have to cede territory. Now, that brings into question, what is Europe and what is Ukraine going to do? Will that be the case? And the kind of optimistic part of me would like to think that Russia doesn't have too many bargaining chips right now at all. And it is very much, it becomes likelier and likelier that Europe will send peacekeeping forces to Ukraine. And the European thinking on this is we have to make sure that Ukraine has as many bargaining chips in the best possible hand coming into this, so that the administration, if they cut this out of the negotiating talks, will have this be the actuality on the ground. So I wish I could give a more clear answer. I mean, in short, I don't know. I've said what I hope does not happen, but I think that there's a real possibility that it might, which of course, by all expert accounts, lends credibility to other autocrats when they have a thought about seizing territory and trying to forcefully withdraw maps.
Yes. Now you mentioned the European response and peacekeeping force in Ukraine. How would you assess the response, especially of countries like France, the UK, and now Germany, who are offering Taurus missiles to Ukraine to hit military bases on Russian territory?
Well, I mean, I think it's the right thing to do, and I think that actually, that does two things. One, it helps Ukraine. Well, actually, it does three things. One, it helps Ukraine. Two, it deters Russia. I mean, of course, we can talk about the nuclear umbrella in the absence of that, and what President Macron has said about this and using French nukes to sort of fill that gap. And three, it actually does show the current administration that collectively these countries are very serious about the security of their own continent. They're willing to step up. They're willing to put their boots on the ground with, as the British Prime Minister has stressed over and over again, an American backstop. So I don't see any negativity to that at all. And it also prevents, the deterrence of further Russian aggression, again, pending what happens in the outcome of these peace talks. It really sends a message that they can't keep this up and they cannot abuse the Ukrainian people again, because there will actually be a European presence, a uniform presence on Ukrainian soil. So I think that that's, given the horrible situation that we're in with this, it is a step in the right direction that would do the things that I just mentioned.
Understood. Now, the other thing that's on the agenda at the moment in Paris is, of course, the Middle East, Iran and various Middle Eastern threats. What do you think is actually going to be discussed? Where are the areas of commonality between the US and Europe on those?
Well, I mean, one of them, of course, is nobody wants to see yet another major conflict or war breakout. I think that the Trump administration is very serious. If Iran continues to try and develop a nuclear bomb, there will be a firm response. That is something that I do not think that the administration would waver on. And when they talk about things like that, they're serious and they follow through. I think with the common ground is that, instability in the Middle East, one of the things that comes out of that is the spillover of people, the spillover of the conflict. This one would be a big one if it happens, and if the Iranian regime responds to whatever the U.S. may do, depending on the outcome of the decision. But then it would be refugee flows and migrant flows into Europe, which is a political bone of contention. And I think that, the two things that keep a lot of policymakers up at night, first is what happens with the outcome of the peace deal between Russia and the United States over the fate of Ukraine. And two, if there's another conflict in the Middle East and that region, that's going to impact Europe a lot. And so bracing.
Do you see? Sorry, just in the last few seconds we have left, do you see the negotiations actually ending up in a transformed Euro-Atlantic relationship, and transformed perhaps positively, where there is a mutual respect and cooperation?
I do see it that way. I think that, the first stage was the kind of shock that people had it because of the way that the administration had been messaging on this. But I do not think that the United States is going to leave Europe high and dry. I do see a very strong level of transatlantic unity, and I do see the alliance coming out of this much stronger, because now everybody knows that the security environment has changed. Everybody realizes we can't do this and we shouldn't do this without the Americans. So let's make sure that everybody collectively looks after the Euro-Atlantic, which is what NATO is all about anyway. So.
Well, we'll be watching very carefully, as I'm sure you will be. Come back and see us again soon. Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Wierenga.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Pleasure. And that's all from this episode of World Talks. Don't go away. We've got the news coming right up. Bye-bye.